At some point, you made yourself smaller for people who weren't even paying attention. You changed how you dressed, what you said, what you were into, because some imaginary audience in your head was judging every single move. And the worst part, most of those people were not even thinking about you at all. They were all too busy doing the exact same thing. The thing about caring about what people think is it doesn't usually feel like fear. It kind of just feels like common sense. It disguises itself. It's like you're just being aware or reading the room. But what it's actually doing is making every single little decision for you. You don't say what you want to say because you're scared it'll land wrong. You don't go for the things you want to go for because what if people think you're trying too hard? You don't dress how you want, listen to what you actually like, or pursue the things you're actually interested in. All because somewhere along the way you decided other people's comfort with you mattered more than your own. And you do this so automatically that you don't even notice it anymore. It's just like you move through this world dimmed down like a fake version of yourself that's just easier for everyone else to be around. And that's exhausting. You're doing too much, you're not living your life, you're managing it for everyone else's perception and trying to fulfill their expectations instead of your own. And look, I mean, I get it. I get why we do it. It's not weakness, especially when you're young. Fitting in genuinely feels like survival at times in school. You're scared, you don't want to be laughed at, left out, or judged. That stuff hurts, man. So you learn to manage it. You scan the room before you speak. You look for the reactions of people. You learn to be whatever version of yourself had the least chance of getting it wrong or getting judged. And for me, it goes back to school. I was never the loudest kid. I wasn't really that popular, and I already felt like I was being watched and judged just for existing. To be honest with you, so I made myself even smaller. Oftentimes, someone excluded me. I said nothing. If someone was doing too much or kind of harassing someone else, sometimes I didn't do anything, even though I wanted to call it out, and it just made me feel uncomfortable inside. I stayed quiet because the fear of making it worse was bigger than the frustration of just letting it be for me. And it took me a while to realize that why? Why am I so worried about what all these people think of me when I barely have anything to do with them to begin with? I don't really even talk with them. I'm not friends with most of them. They don't even really know me. So why do I care? And that's when it clicked. These people whose opinions I was managing the hardest were people who had no real presence in my life whatsoever. I was shrinking myself for people that didn't matter and didn't matter in my life at all. And the problem is that it becomes a coping mechanism, and at some point the thing that protects you just starts limiting you. Because you're not that little kid anymore. It's different now. No one's trying to keep you down the way you think they are. That voice in your head telling you everyone's watching and everyone's judging, that's just old. It's old thoughts running around the back of your head searching for situations that aren't there anymore. Most people are genuinely just too caught up in their own lives to be focused on what you do. They just don't have time to even care if they wanted to. And the ones who do, they're usually the ones with the least going on. So there's no reason you should be concerned with them to begin with. But, what I think is that most people don't talk about enough is there's a cost that comes with playing it safe all the time. Every time you held something back, something that was genuine to you, because you were scared of the reaction. Every time you didn't go for something because you were worried of looking stupid and that it didn't work out. Every time you pretended to be fine, pretended not to care, to be less excited or less into something than you actually were. It it all adds up, and what you end up with is a life that doesn't really fit you. You know, it it's a fake. It's all smoke and mirrors, and the people you actually want in your life, the ones worth keeping, they don't need that edited version of you, man. They want the real one. That's what they're there for. And if someone falls off because you stop performing for them, that's not a loss. They were never meant to be there to begin with. Because no one who's meant for you will walk out of your life because you're not something you were ever pretending to be. Listen, I'm not saying to stop caring about everything. Some opinions do matter. That's a fact. The people who love you, they've earned that their opinions matter. The random people, the people that you don't care about, the people that are not involved in your life in any meaningful way, that imaginary voice in your head telling you that everyone's watching, the people that would judge you regardless, let them. Let it be. You're going to be thinking about this for a while, long after they've forgotten it's ever happened, or that you've even existed for some of them. So you might as well just go do your thing. Say what you want to say, wear what you want to wear, and go for it. Be a bit much, be cringe for once in your life. Do what you want to actually do, no matter what other people will say about it. Because the version of you that stops hiding away from who you actually are is far more interesting than any front you could ever put up. And I promise you that.